Welcome to Ripped from Reddit. I'm your host Daniel. r/AskReddit. What was a life-changing mistake you made? Quitting a great job with huge advancements when I was 19 because a girl. The job took me out on the road for 2 to 3 weeks at a time and I didn't want to leave her for that long at the beginning of our relationship. Fuck, that was dumb. It took me 8 years to make that much money again, and that girl dumped me after 5 months of dating. Oh man, that hurt to read. I wasn't the smartest cookie. Thankfully I found another career and I enjoy it. Found another lucky girl too. Been with her for 8 years, married for 1 this coming September. If it's any comfort, 19-year-old me would have done the same thing. And while it looks dumb now, it may even have been the correct choice at the time. If you had taken the job, your post might as well have been "I lost the most wonderful girl in the world because I decided to chase a career opportunity and got fired after 5 months." Edit. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger. That's such a healthy way of looking at things. Thanks for that perspective. Heading home after a nice motorcycle ride on a Sunday evening. Decide on a whim to take a small 10-minute detour because it was one of the last days of the year with nice weather. Crashed into the side of a van with 80 km/h that didn't give me the right of way. Spent 12 days in intensive care. Ended up with persistent health problems and a reconstructed shoulder which left me partially disabled and unable to do sports, lift anything serious, etc. It was a nice ride though. I recommend motorcycles to no one. I have not known a ton of riders in my life, but of those I have known, a staggering percentage have suffered serious consequences including several deaths, trying to foster unhealthy relationships with a girlfriend, friend, or even family member out of a fierce sense of loyalty despite it being toxic to my life. Yup, I realized I was accommodating all sorts of bullshit in my life because I'm loyal to a fault. The turning point was realizing I'm a grown-ass adult and letting people push and pull me wasn't noble. It was just keeping me from enjoying my life and choosing where to go with it. I'm still loyal and forgiving. I just don't let myself be taken advantage of or manipulated anymore. Yup. Thanks to you guys in Reddit, my people please self isn't a total doormat. Also, I'm sorry you had to go through this. I also tried to maintain an extremely toxic relationship with a friend simply because we were practically raised together. My girlfriend convinced me to get rid of them a few months ago, and my life got so much better after that. Cutting ties with cruddy people is so liberating. Not going to grab a bite with my dad, just because I was too lazy to meet up with him there a day later he killed himself. Also, not being strong enough to see my dad before being burned, cremated, sounds weird in my head. Will never be able to see him again, and having missed my chance for a final goodbye kills me every time I have time to think by myself. Thank you for making this thread, really needed to vent. Edit. Thank you everyone for your kind comments. This happened 5 years ago. I'm married, and our daughter will be born in August. Life turned out good for me, but staying as rational as possible. I still think he wouldn't have killed himself if had just been a better son and met up watch him more often. You know, just be more involved in his life. We'll never know, and that for it'll haunt me for the rest of my life. Edit 2. You guys really made my day. Thank you all. I thought this comment wouldn't even get a single respond. If anyone deals with similar shit, feel free to hit me up. I didn't see my mom right before she died. She didn't recognize me. Her mind was already gone. The last time I saw my mom, all my family was there that abandoned us. Coming to the rescue, it was too late. Her liver and kidneys were not functioning. There was no recovery. One of the best memories of her is when I got to see her in the hospital. Just me and her, like it was before. She told me stories of when she was growing up and how she was excited to have a brand new baby granddaughter. I miss her every day, not noticing my own behavior. Thinking I've become a better person and the realization of my mistakes has changed my life. Self-reflection is hard but important. Dating someone who was incredibly toxic for way too long. I don't regret it, though. It taught me a lot about what not to do and how to make sure I'm doing what's best for myself. Did it for 3 years, got out last year. Haven't had a day full of worry, anxiety, or even feeling all that down since. Really makes you realize things weren't good. Hindsight, for ya. Exactly. It's insanely hard to see red flags when you have someone convincing you they aren't there. but once that person is out of the picture the flags become way more obvious. Cheers for realizing it and improving your life. Cigarette? Yeah man. Why not? I smoked for a little over 20 years and man was it hard to quit, especially because I enjoyed it. I was finally able to kick the habit 4 years back and now I feel much better. I still get cravings from time to time, but I'll never go back. Don't stop trying. In my mid-20s I was dating and living a wonderful woman, but I was extremely immature and did a terrible job of keeping my life in order and keeping up decent employment. She gave me so many chances to get my shit together, but time and time again I would just be a useless lump and she eventually broke up with me and kicked me out. I had to go live with my parents. I completely changed after that. Video games became something I did after all my responsibilities were met, not something that kept me from them. I stopped smoking weed for a while so I could land a reliable job, even though the one I found ended up not drug testing me. I started saving money because I couldn't stand living with my parents. Eventually my ex and I reconnected and we eventually moved back in together. We ended up getting a new place that was ours. I had moved into her place and things just kept getting better. We are now married and homie are winners and I'm waiting to hear about an even better job opportunity. It's a shame we had to come to that for me to get my shit together, but it changed my life. You're lucky it went the way it did, because oftentimes you don't get that second chance. Glad it worked out for you man, now stay vigilant and keep up the good work. Going to grad school. I'm thinking of going. Care explaining why? Sure, I left a relatively high paying job in industry thinking that a PhD would allow me to advance within industry or at least broaden my career options. However, it did exactly the opposite. I became pigeonholed in my narrow academic field and found myself with very few options as graduation approached. I did find a postdoc position where I essentially did the same experiments I was doing as a grad student. All along I had been applying to jobs in industry as well as academia with very little response. Funding for my postdoc position dried up and I ended up settling for a bachelor's level position with a state agency completely out of my field. I was very lucky in that I was thrown a lifeline by my PhD advisor after a year, which connected me with my current position. I'm not exactly in my dream job, but I enjoy aspects of it and I've achieved some success. It's a new field for me, but one that I much prefer over my previous one. I'm not trying to discourage you from exploring grad school, but my experience is hardly unique. My advice is to talk to as many people in your field of interest as possible to get an overall sense of what career options you'll have and what the job market is going to be like in the near future. Edit. I'll also throw a plug in for /r/grad school. They can be super helpful in answering your questions. Getting into a relationship when I knew I was not in the best frame of mind emotionally. Eating my feelings when depressed during most of college without also exercising. When the freshman 15 turns into the senior 60. This but unironically lol. I would gained weight anyway because I was a beanpole, but the depression turned it way worse. How did you stop emotionally eating? I've struggled with depression since puberty, but always was really good with diet and exercise. In great shape. Something happened when I was 25 and I've been emotionally eating ever since and stopped working out. It baffles me because I never used food for comfort before, but now it almost feels like an addiction and I can't stop. It's the only thing that makes me feel better, but I'm destroying my body that I once had total control over. Not ever taking the time to sit down and think particularly hard about the career I wanted or how to realistically go about getting it before I went to college. 9 years and 1 liberal arts degree later, I'm not using said degree at all, and I'm working in an office at a job not at all related to what my degree is in, nor what I desire to do. I want to go back to school, but I need money. I need to go to school to do what I want to and to make money, but I need money to go back to school. Fuck. In the mid 2000s I used to work a call center job while finishing up uni. It was a startup fintech type job. People got promoted quickly and they paid above minimum wage. But I was naive and didn't realize how backstabby some people could be to get ahead. I carpooled with who I thought was a friend until he started secretly recording our conversations in the car to curry favor with my managers. Thinking I was safe, I was honest about my feelings about certain things at work, and sure enough he played the recordings to my bosses, and soon after I noticed a change in how I was being treated. They let me go with severance when I caught onto the fact that I was being asked to train my replacement. This led to about 10 months of unemployment with employment insurance and me finding a much better paying job. It was a blow, but I learned from it, and I'm glad I'm not stuck in what is ultimately a dead-end call center job, no matter how they spin job titles. Wow, what a snake. I was young and naive. I still have no clue what his purpose was to get me let go outside of earning brownie points. I did do my job well, and didn't have to put in the overtime he tried to do some nights, and this may have annoyed him as he's the type who likes to stay late to show that he's a hard worker. Not texting my boyfriend later that Thursday after an argument. I was mad and didn't want to speak to him. When I finally texted him on Saturday, he had already been dead for 24 hours. I wish I had told him I loved him. Everyone says it's not my fault, but I will never know if I had reached out earlier whether that might have been enough to stop him. I'm never ignoring someone I love because of a petty argument ever again. Wasting 7 years with an idiot. Accepting the position I work in now. Biggest mistake I have ever made. I'm more miserable than I have ever been in my entire life. In fact, fuck 2019 as a whole. This year's can kiss my ass. I'm done. Check out our other videos in the description below.